Beijing, ancient capital, modern metropolis, the home of emperors, and the heart of a great cultural tradition. Beijing, old and sedate, young and dynamic, a modern open city on the fast track to reinventing itself. Beijing, where two worlds mingle. Being Beijing is experiencing the life, seeing the sights, sampling the culture. That's being Beijing.
Beijing Airport has three main terminals, T1, 2, and 3. You can get to the city by bus, taxi, or subway.
The fastest and most economical way of getting down to Beijing City is by bus.
If you opt to take the bus, a ticket will set you back a mere 16 yuan.
I'm so excited about arriving in Beijing. I'm going to do some light reading and find out what the city is about.
Beijing is the capital city of China and the country's center of politics, education, and culture. It's a city that has embraced modernization enthusiastically and yet still guards its historical and cultural sites jealously. In fact, most of them are great landmarks for navigating around Beijing, from the Temple of Heaven to the Drum and Bell Tower and Tiananmen Square, right in the heart of the city.
One of the first stops for any visitor to Beijing is Tiananmen Square. And where else would we start our 6-part series but at the center of this magnificent city? Welcome to Travelogue. Join us as we take you through the old, the new, and the extravagant of the city fondly known as the Jing. Welcome to Beijing.
When you think of Beijing, chances are two places come to mind: the Forbidden City and Tiananmen Square. People often mistake Tiananmen Gate, where you'll see Chairman Mao's portrait, for the actual square across the street.
You can't come to Beijing and not get a photo taken at Tiananmen. So, just to prove that I was here, can you take a photo for me, please, Mr. Cameraman?
With Chang'an Avenue separating them, Tiananmen Gate and Tiananmen Square are a must-see when you're in the city. You haven't been to Beijing until you've visited the site, with all its cultural symbolism. For Chinese people, it's great seeing so many people from across the world visiting a site that holds so much importance to them. And just a short walk away are several other important historical sites. Mao's Mausoleum, for instance, and the Great Hall of the People, and the National Museum of China.
Tiananmen Square is not only big, it's ginormous. In fact, it's the world's largest square, and it's at the center of Beijing, which is great because it's one of its cultural icons. And on top of that, it's at the center of the center line that runs through Beijing. How fantastic is that?
Most of Beijing's historical landmarks lie along its central axis, an imaginary line 7.8 kilometers long, which splits the city into symmetrical halves. In fact, the city was built around this line. It starts at the Yongdamen Gate in the south and takes us to our next stop, the Drum and Bell Tower in the north.
It's quite a view from out here. I'm standing at the Drum and Bell Tower, the northmost part of the central line that cuts through Beijing. And on both sides, you can see the Hutong areas, where there are traditional courtyard homes of the local Beijing people. The Hutong area might look kind of messy on the outside, but the courtyard homes themselves, they're actually really symmetrical and neat on the inside.
So let me show you my hostel. It's pretty special, a renovated courtyard house. I'm feeling a little jet-lagged anyway, so I'll just freshen up before heading out again.
Here we are at my hostel. See, in the old days, they used to use this as a knocker. Go like that and they'll let you in. But nowadays, they have doorbells. Hey, Anna.
Hello, Michelle.
Did you have a good day?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Are you?
Yeah, I had a really good day today as well. Okay, I'm pretty tired, so I'm going to go to my room, okay?
Okay.
All right, I'll see you later. Bye.
This place is magnificent. This used to be a traditional courtyard, but now it's been converted into a hostel. So there are rooms on all four sides, and it's just so beautiful.
You can choose from a range of rooms, 8 to 12 bed dorms if you're on a budget, or a double or twin ensuite if you want a little bit more privacy. And they're not pricey either. Expect to pay anything from $14 to $40 US a night.
I should use mine later as well. But later. Alright, I'm going to show you my room. This is my room. Home sweet home. You know, the first thing that I want to do when I get home is just lie in bed. It's so comfy. And you gotta love the modern amenities. Modern toilet, fresh towels, great shower, and Chinese basin and Chinese furniture combined together in this great bathroom. Well, if I want to go out, gotta get ready, so leave me be.
There's a whole range of places you can stay at while you're in Beijing, but I think a renovated Hutong courtyard is the only way to go. It's quaint, personal, and if you speak to the owner, you might just get yourself an inside guide to the city. This one in particular is only a 10-minute walk away from the Forbidden City.
Okay, so if you want to stay where I'm staying, in a typical courtyard hostel, this is what you do. You type in hostelworld.com, and then you click on China, type in the city, Beijing, and then Peking Youth Hostel, which is where we are. Find hostels. Now it's time to watch my travel guide.
From here, you got a bird's eye view of Beijing, especially the Forbidden City.
And what better way to see it than through the eyes of a local Beijinger?
Especially at sunset. Seeing the Forbidden City so strictly planned along the central axis.
It's 11 past 5 and it's the earliest I've been up since forever. But if you're in Beijing, you have to join the hordes of people that go around Tiananmen every morning just to see the flag raising ceremony.
Every morning, people get up as early as 2 a.m. just to be the first to arrive in Tiananmen Square to watch the flag raising ceremony. It's become quite the tourist attraction, with some people waiting for hours just to see what is a 3-minute show. You don't have to be Chinese to enjoy the ceremony. The funny thing is, I'm quite moved by the fact that all these people were here so early in the morning. It's a little early for me to be up, but it's worth it just for the atmosphere. The noise and bustle before the flag is raised, and then the silence in between, followed by the noise again. It's almost surreal.
That was so symbolic. It's crazy. Look at the hordes of people with their phones and cameras out. And now that the flag is raised, everyone should be leaving soon.
I think I'll take a little walk to the Forbidden City now. The Forbidden City is located directly to the north of the Tiananmen Gate. This was the imperial palace for almost 5 centuries. It was the home of the emperor and his household, as well as the ceremonial and political center of the Chinese government. The Forbidden City, at 72 hectares, is the world's largest palace complex. It took 14 years to build, and today it houses the Palace Museum. The Forbidden City was declared a World Heritage Site in 1987 and is listed by UNESCO as the largest collection of preserved ancient wooden structures in the world. Within its walls, the emperor used to start his day by greeting his ministers. While that time is now in the past, throughout the Forbidden City, you'll still see the emperor's emblem, the dragon. As yellow was the symbol of the imperial family, it is the dominant color in the Forbidden City. The roofs are built of yellow glazed tiles, the decorations in the various halls are painted yellow,
and even the bricks on the ground were turned yellow. The one exception was the Royal Library. You can still see the tiles and ancient relics at the Forbidden City today, and it's easy to feel like you're being transported back to a time when the city existed in all its imperial glory.
It's amazing. You know, in the past, every girl dreamt of entering the palace as a concubine or a mistress, but once they were within these walls, they wouldn't be allowed to leave, or it was really hard to at least. You know, can you imagine how many lives and stories these walls contain? It's amazing stuff. And I've been thinking about it a little as well. If given the choice, would you live here?
And now, all that's left are the memories and the treasures and the stories. Entry into the Forbidden City will cost you 60 yuan, a small price to pay for a feel of the ancient city. Once you exit the north gate of the Forbidden City, just a short walk across the street is our next stop, Jingshan Park. Jingshan Park is one of the most famous parks in Beijing, and Jingshan Hill offers one of the best views around.
I'm standing at the highest point of the central axis line. And I'll tell you this, the view is amazing. You can see the roofs of the Forbidden Palace stretch right across down south. So beautiful.
Jingshan Park was originally an imperial garden, but it's now been turned into a public park. It's beautiful and serene, and it's really no wonder that so many locals come here over the weekends. And you'll find the Emperor's official flower, the peony, spread across the grounds. One famous site in the park, although a little morbid, is the place where the last emperor of the Ming dynasty took his own life. I suggest you pay a visit on a Sunday like I did if you want to see what goes on in a Beijing park.
Flip shot.
It can get a little crowded sometimes, but that just adds to the atmosphere. Aside from Tai Chi and meditation, the locals believe that singing is both good for your health and helpful in preventing depression. That's why 1,000 people congregate at the same spot every week to sing together. Now that's dedication.
The best way to see Beijing is by bike. So I figured I'd rent myself one. But it's been 14 years since I've actually ridden one, so on my part, this is pretty daring. Whoa! Yeah, look at me go!
A ride around the Forbidden City should take about half an hour, but chances are you'll be spending a lot more time than that. In the past, only people of the highest rank and government officials were allowed to enter the Forbidden City. All the shops here were dedicated to the emperor's needs, and the hutongs today are still named after the different artisans that served the emperor.
Wow, look at that. In the past, there used to be a lot of temples in the imperial city, right? But nowadays, they're used as homes for, like, the common person. And you can still see, like, right up there where the tiles are, it's got the yellow and the dragons that used to be used only for the emperor. It's so amazing that it's lasted this long.
Every morning, you'll see elderly locals around the city walking with bird cages or riding their bicycles with the cages strapped to the back. A favorite local pastime is taking pet birds to the park and listening to them sing. And now to Beihai Park, where you'll find many regular visitors. One of them is the flute player who comes here every day to draw people into the park. And he tells me he does it just because he loves to. Beihai Park, neighboring Jinshan Park, is located northwest of the Forbidden City. You can take a cab there, but on a good day, it's a pleasant walk or bike ride away. I kept seeing all these things around, and I was wondering what they were for. So I asked somebody, and they said that the emperor used to write this character, Fu, and give it to all his ministers over Spring Festival. So nowadays, you can buy these things, and you hang them up somewhere, and it'll bring you fortune. Oh, where should I hang it? Okay, right there. That'll do. There you go. Now that's fortune for me. In the past, Beihai was the winter palace, and the imperial family and their entourage would spend the colder months here. Nowadays, it's said to be one of the oldest, largest, and best preserved ancient imperial gardens in China. One of the most important features of Beihai Park is the 9 dragon screen. In the past, the number 9 and the dragon were a symbol used only by the emperor, and 9 in Chinese is jiu, which sounds like the word for longevity. The White Pagoda in Beihai was built on the orders of the first emperor of the Qing dynasty to show his belief in Buddhism and his desire for the unification of the various ethnic groups in China. Now I've heard that just around the corner from the Forbidden City is a man who has been making opera masks for over 20 years.
Ah! Okay, he's the guy I'm looking for. Whoa!
Hey, how are you?
Hey, 你好.
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 This is Beijing Opera.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Mr. Guan is an acknowledged master of his craft.
Opera.
Oh, wow.
He quit his job as a factory worker in 1983 to pursue his passion for painting Peking opera masks.
Made of paper.
Oh, okay.
这可以这画那个北京 Opera mask.
啊哈。
可以戴在脸上了。哎呀呀，对。
He tells me that he's the first person in Beijing to paint an opera mask with 2 faces. His masks are made from paper mache, clay, or plaster of Paris, and he says a small mask takes at least 2 days to make, while a life-size version about 3 days.
Okay.
Okay, so each mask has different colors, and each color represents different things. So, for example, black is for a hero. This might be black and white, but the dominant color is black, therefore he's still a hero. And green signifies headstrong characters, while blue is a fierce, and white, there are 2 kinds. So the first white is a watery white, which it means someone who's treacherous. Whereas an oil white is an arrogance. It symbolizes arrogance and dominance and strength. So he's a good guy. Right, let's keep going. Paint the good guy's face. I have to say, Mr. Guan's personality is just as colorful as his mask. It's been great spending time with him.
基本上全做完了。
Okay, 我也是。
我就想哥俩，你看没？是不是？
Yeah. If you're in Beijing, the one thing that you can't miss is the Peking Opera. And right here, right by Tiananmen Square, is the Chang'an Theater, the most famous location for Peking Opera, the national art form. Well, getting ready for the opera here isn't quite the same as getting ready for the Western opera. I mean, you still have to get all dressed up, but there's a lot of makeup and clothing involved for different characters and personalities on stage. And now, the actors are about to get ready for tonight's performance.
Peking or Beijing opera is the national opera form. Despite the name, though, its origins are in Anhui and Hubei provinces. It combines the skill of oration, singing, dancing, and combat in movements that are symbolic and suggestive, rather than realistic. The performers are judged on the beauty of their movements. Watching the Peking opera is quite an experience. You won't entirely understand what they're singing about, even if there are screens with subtitles to help. But it's the energy that radiates from the performers and their elaborate costumes that make it worth sitting through. Located one subway stop away from Tiananmen is Wanfujing, a renowned Beijing shopping street. You'll find many shopping outlets and stores here, but if you're looking for some local souvenirs, do a little exploring, and off the main street, you'll find a quaint little alley full of stalls.
Look, it's snowing. Another one. Snowing at the Great Wall. Look, no children's toys. If you come to China, you gotta buy some of these Mao souvenirs. Oops, wrong hat. What do you reckon? Bookmarks.
Yes.
China art. These are cheap how?
Be sure to bargain though and play hard to get a little. That'll bring the price down.
Because I love Beijing.
And just a short walk away, you'll find a more typical shopping experience.
Beijing is a city known for its history and culture, but within what was the old imperial city, you'll also find international brand names. Right there.
Oriental Plaza is just one of several shopping malls in the area, and a good place to find familiar brands. Nearby, you'll find the largest bookstore in Beijing, the Foreign Language Bookstore, as well as the Artist Mansion, if you're looking for art supplies and various other knickknacks. The entire area is pretty much a shopping haven, so keep your wallet in check and watch out, just in case the heat from your plastic burns you. At night, the Wanfujing area is lit up and vendors selling food from all over China set up stalls here. From the famous Xinjiang lamb skewers to the more exotic taste of Chinese cuisine, you'll find local delicacies. The vendors are always more than happy to tell you just what you're about to eat.
发的嘛，也爆都炒面，原来那爆的嘛。老北京的卤煮火烧，地道香。吃碗尝尝，哥们儿，倍儿棒。先做一碗。豆腐有，火烧有，肠都有，一套的啊。
Oh.
哎，吃起来来碗要辣不辣的都有啊。
This smells gorgeous. It's like
这是北京的
beef
风味。
with tofu and soup.
来。
It's
吃吧，没错啊。
Beijing specialty.
后面来尝尝，后面的来碗试一试。哎，好嘞，来了。
Giving me a free taste. Yeah, I love Beijing people. Okay.
后面来尝尝，后面的。Hello, noodles, no meat. Vegetarian. Yeah, I like it.
So good. This is really good.
就是香。
Here, ever seen lamb testicles? Well, yeah, that's what it looks like.
Oh, this lamb.
Lamb?
In the Xinjiang is famous.
Oh, yum. Hey, that's 这个什么
Mushroom. Sea mushroom.
A sea mushroom?
Yeah.
Silkworm?
Yeah, it's good for you.
You want one?
Oh, I eat this usually. I like this. It's okay.
Okay. You eat it first,
Okay.
and then I'll eat it next. Deep fried salty silkworm. Isn't it hot?
The
Hot.
one thing you can eat.
Oh,
Yes.
is it hot?
Yeah.
Hot.
Definitely.
Okay, let's see. Deep fried salted silkworm. Mmm. Oh, good.
Definitely hot. Too salt, I love.
Very salty.
Yeah. The salty is too much. I'm sorry.
Okay, don't worry about it. It's pretty good.
I'm not sure I'll ever be able to stomach silkworms again. But if I absolutely had to, just to soak in the atmosphere of Food Street, I'd do it all over again in a second. Lao Beijing, or Old Beijing, is a term used to describe the families who have lived in Beijing for more than 3 generations. And one afternoon activity that they're particularly fond of is kite flying. And what better way to enjoy an old city than to learn an art form from the locals?
I'm getting really good at this. It's broken! It broke! My kite flew off! I'm so tempted to chase after it. Around the Forbidden City, you can get a taste of the local life in Beijing. I hope you've enjoyed our trip across the central Beijing, and I hope to see you again around as we journey through this magnificent city. I'm Michelle Lean, and I'll see you the next time on Travelogue.